Welcome to Satsang.
Hello, Vishrant. Can you please talk about the topic, why is happiness so hard to maintain?
Well, anything you have to do is hard to maintain. Happiness should be more spontaneous. And the problem with happiness is when we went to school and university or whatever other education we received, we were never programmed to be happy. We were programmed to be problem solvers. And if we could successfully remember things and solve problems, we could get a high mark and go forward in classes or get a degree or get a diploma or get something. And so nowhere in school, in our schooling, or 12 years for a lot of people, plus a possible 4-year education at university or some TAFE, we were never programmed to be happy. We were programmed to be problem solvers, and problem solving doesn't make you happy. It's a form of concentration. It's a form of effort. It's a form of resistance. And resistance actually makes us unhappy. It causes suffering. And so we were probably happiest before we went to school. Or if we were rebels, maybe we were happy at school because we broke a few rules and had a bit of fun. But we weren't programmed to be happy. We were programmed to be, in a lot of ways, miserable. Problem solvers, worriers, procrastinators. So here we are, finished our schooling, been programmed not to be happy, yet everybody wants to be happy. And so people think, oh, I'll be happy if I get this or I get that or I don't have that. I'll be happy if I get a new house. I'll be happy if I get a good relationship. I'll be happy if I get a new car or a new place to live, a house. I'll be happy if I get a high income. I'll be happy if I've got money in the bank. I'll be happy if I have children. Happy if I get a dog. And the thing is, and none of those things will really bring you happiness. They're desires, and desires themselves are dissatisfaction with life as it is, non-acceptance of life as it is. So those very desires cause unhappiness, cause suffering actually. And the more addictively we demand that we get these things, the more unhappy we are. And for those people who have eventually won and got those things, there is a realization that they've been conned because they're not happy, because they were never programmed to be happy in the first place. So after they got the things that they thought would make them happy, they're still unhappy. They're still problem solvers. They're still worriers. They're still procrastinators, because that's how we were programmed. I was really fortunate in that I got to be very successful at a very young age. I got to the top of the world in the business and found there was nothing at the top. I felt like I'd been conned because I'd worked quite hard to get to the top. I was financially successful. I retired when I was 28 years old, but there's nothing there. It's just empty, because success doesn't make you happy. Money doesn't make you happy. Power doesn't make you happy. Owning things doesn't make you happy. Matter of fact, quite often it makes you miserable because you've got to take care of them. Relationships are just hard work, but they're worthwhile if you can actually open enough to experience love in them. What I found made me happy was love. Because when love was present, I felt really nice. I felt really good. I felt happy. There was joy. And so it took me a long time. It took me like 33 years to work that one out. That there is a way to be happy, and it's not how we were programmed. And that way is to find love, but not find love in another, find love in self. Openness facilitates that. And there lies another problem, because openness is not one of the things we were ever programmed for. We were programmed to be defended. We were programmed actually to be closed. And so if we want to be able to perceive love, we need to open up, because the closures and the defense systems filter love out. We don't perceive it. There's too much in the way. And so at the age of 33, I started practicing openness because I was interested in love. I was interested in love. I was interested in perceiving love. And that was a good thing. That was worthwhile. Love is the true jewel of consciousness. But people think, oh, I love. Yeah, really? If you're closed and you're defended and you're in resistance to life, you're not going to be experiencing much love. That's not possible. It's too much in the way. You want to perceive love, you have to be open, undefended. And that's up to you. But that's not kind of natural either, really. It's more natural to be defended, to be safe, to be closed, to be protected. That's more natural. So quite often people mistake primal bonding for love. This connection we have with the people who are close to us, family members, partners, sometimes employees, sometimes employers, friends. This primal connection, which is in there to protect us as a species, quite often is mistaken for love. Love is quite different, because love doesn't try to hold anyone. It just loves. It doesn't take prisoners. And when love affects the mind, it just wants to take care of everyone and everything, not just the ones that you're primarily bonded to, like your children or your partner or your friends or your mum and dad. And so it's not a bad idea to have a look. Am I experiencing love, or am I experiencing primal bonding, or is there a combination? Love's a little difficult because it means you have to be open. And the first time I think I really experienced real, true, genuine love, besides when I was a little boy with my mother, was when my firstborn came along, and I was holding this baby in my arms, had just been born, and I was just overwhelmed with love for no reason. And I went, wow, this is different. This is amazing. That was my first glimpse. It was quite nice. Anyway, I dedicated my life to that and gave up my companies, gave up being a businessman, and went in pursuit of my heart. It took me quite a while, but I found it. And then I went back into service. Because when you find heart, you just want to help people. So I went back to school and I trained as a naturopath and as a psychotherapist, and I worked in service, helping people. It was my love affair with life. And I do believe that I found happiness, but it was manageable happiness. It was related to being in service, the joy from giving, the joy from taking care. And so happiness is a hard thing to pursue, because it's not like you can really make it happen. It happens as a result of being in love with life. Now there's another type of happiness. And I discovered that 11 years after I started looking for my heart. And that was the happiness that is experienced from the mind when awakening occurs, when enlightenment occurs, when the mind rests in beingness, profoundly content for no reason. And now this is my definition of true happiness. to be profoundly content for no reason. Any questions? Any statements? Any challenges to this talk today?
The first question is, what do you think is the main obstacle to happiness for most people?
It would have to be victim-orientated thinking, blaming the world, blaming someone else, or blaming yourself for things that are going wrong or things that you perceive as going wrong. Victim-orientated thinking creates nothing but misery, because it in itself is resistance, and resistance is suffering. And so I'd say the main thing that's in the way of people being happy is victim-orientated thinking. In other words, the way we think. We create our reality with the way we think. And people who are victim-orientated, blaming everything and everyone, create misery for themselves.
Next question is, can happiness be learned?
Not in the way you think. What can happen is you can start being in the world in a way that allows you to perceive happiness. And for me, that way was to become a giver instead of a taker, to take care instead of take care of myself constantly, because it took a fair bit of integrity for me to have a look and see that for 33 years of my life, I was quite selfish and self-obsessed. And that even though it may have looked like I was helping other people a fair bit, I was really helping myself. And so I had to change the way I was operating. I had to have a good look and get really honest with myself about what I was up to and change it. And it took a while, because I was, a businessman. I was like a Sherman tank. I was so armored and ready for war. And I had to dismantle all that. So there was no defense systems in the way anymore. So I could walk through the world open and vulnerable. And in that, I started experiencing the beauty of love.
Did you ever pursue happiness in your life?
No, I pursued things that excited me, but people mistake excitement for happiness. Excitement is just actually fear-based. It's not happiness. People say, I'm so excited. Yeah, well, there's a nervousness there, there's fear there. Yeah, otherwise you wouldn't be so excited. And so I was into extreme sports, and I gained a great deal of thrill and excitement out of putting my life in danger, involved in extreme sports, from full contact martial arts, to rugby, to deep sea diving, to racing motorbikes, to racing cars. Anything that took me over the edge was interesting to me. And it took me a long time to work out why I was so interested in those sort of things, until I realized, after meditating, after learning meditation, that what I was really in love with was the moment, the freshness and the brilliantness of this moment. And after I found meditation, I found I didn't risk my life so much to move into the moment, because I found when I was riding a motorbike at high speed, I was in the moment, had to be. When I was underwater, in deep water, I had to be present. I was in the moment again. When I was rallying cars, it was the same. And when I was doing martial arts, someone's trying to hit you, you're very present. It was the same. And rugby, same. I just loved the moment. I wasn't interested in dreaming. All thinking is dreaming. And I wasn't interested. I was interested in the moment. I'd fallen in love with it.
The next question has been written by Brian. I had 2 different dreams where you and Osho appeared, and in both dreams I could feel the Buddha field. Is this significant or just a game of the ego?
So now we're entering an area where I don't really know. But I will say this. Before awakening, for the 12 months before awakening, every night I had teacher dreams where my teachers would come into my dreams and show me things. Now, I don't know where that came from or how that came about, but it was definitely so. It's a bit of a mystery to me. I was definitely infatuated with the idea of waking up, and I was very in love with my master, Osho. But every night the dreams were there. Every night I was being shown something. And every night I was practicing surrender.
So was it Osho that appeared in your dreams or your other teachers?
I had different teachers appear at different times. Osho appeared, other teachers appeared. It was a smorgasbord. I was with Osho for a lot of years. I was with him for 8 years before he died, and I was very in love with him. He was my initiator. He initiated me into higher consciousness, into spirituality. He germinated the seed in me for it. And while he was alive, I had my first satoris where I found myself as everything and nothing. And so I see him as my father, spiritual father. But I also had other teachers because after he died in 1990, I was left without a teacher for 8 years until the Advaita Vedanta teachers came to Perth, where I live. And I was so ready for them because the moment that the first teacher walked into the auditorium where he was holding satsang, I woke up. Awakening occurred. It didn't last, but it occurred. I found myself as the universe again. So I have a lot of gratitude to my teachers because they showed me what you cannot ever pay for.
Next, we have a question from Neil.
Hello, Neil.
Hello, Vishrant. So my question is it okay to seek happiness by helping others, or am I being selfish when I'm doing that?
Helping others is great. It doesn't matter whether you're seeking happiness or you're not seeking happiness. It's just a lovely way to be in the world. It's the way of the heart to help others. If you're going to choose a way to be here, you might as well choose a lovely way, and the way of the heart is a lovely way.
Okay, right. And another question was, do prayers actually work? Because I hear people say, I'm going to pray for you, or let's pray for the...
Well, for them to work, there would have to be someone that you are praying to. And in my experience, I haven't found anyone out there except beingness itself, except God itself. And God doesn't answer prayers. So I don't see the value in prayers because I don't see that there's anyone to pray to. I don't see anyone out there that can actually somehow assist.
Right. Right. Yeah. That's thank you, Vishrant.
Thank you, Neil.
The next question is from Susha.
Hello, Susha.
Hi, Bhagwan. How is perception of love and being in touch with beingness related? Do they always happen hand in hand?
No, not at all. The perception of beingness, that's when awareness is aware of itself. That's Satori. The perception of love is different. Love is always here. Love is always here. It's just most people are out of touch with it because they're too closed, too defended. But love is always present and love is real. What you think about love is not real, but love itself is real and it's always here. With the perception of beingness, awareness has to turn on itself for that to be perceived. And that is very rare. That is Satori. That doesn't happen that often. There's no reason why it shouldn't happen, but it doesn't happen that often because mostly people are locked in their minds. They're not relaxed enough to even have Satori.
So sometimes I find a lot of silence and nothingness, but I don't perceive any love. Am I not opening enough?
Probably not. Tell you, how it works for me is when I'm inside, when I have my eyes shut, when I'm inside, I don't perceive love. There's just vast blackness of self or emptiness of self, vast, vast, vast. When I come out here, I find love out here. I find when I'm looking out here, I find love. If I look at people, I love them. If I look at plants, I love them. If I look at the earth, I love it. If I look at the sky, I love it. If I look at buildings, I love them. When I look out here, I find love. And so I kind of live between love and emptiness.
Okay. That helps. Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhagwan.
The next question has been written by a viewer. Do you believe in the law of attraction?
You would have to describe for me what you believe the law of attraction is. Give me a definition of it and I'll tell you what I think of it. But just asking me if I believe in the law of attraction without me really understanding what the law of attraction is a little hard for me to answer.
The next question has been written by Kelly. We are what we attract. Is there a conflict here or connection with the seeker's path?
We are what we attract is a belief system based on what? Fantasy of some kind? That's a belief system. I don't buy it. We are what we attract. We're all beingness. We can't be anything else. We're all beingness. We're all pure awareness. We cannot be anything else.
The next question has been written by Brian. I've heard Osho give talks on Tantra, but I'm not really sure what it is. Is the essence of Tantra going beyond the mind into pure awareness?
Tantra. True Tantra is unconditional surrender to what is. That's true Tantra. And all Tantric methodologies are based on surrender, which is a pathway to enlightenment. Osho used sexual Tantra, or the understanding of it, to attract people. If you want to find the hardest way to wake up to your own true nature, sexuality would be it, because that's where we're probably the most identified. But people are very attracted to sexuality. And so when you combine sexuality with spirituality, you can get a lot of people coming along and playing the game. And Osho was trying to attract people so they could come and sit in front of him in the Buddha field that he had. Because when you sit in the Buddha field of someone who's awake, you have the potential of awakening. His whole thing was fishing for people. He was a big collector of people. And he used lots of different methodologies to collect people, including talking about sex and superconsciousness. The tantric monks in India live at the ghats where they burn the bodies, because there's a repulsion to the dead bodies, to the smell of the burning bodies. In surrendering to the repulsion, you're surrendering to something that can take you to freedom. Tantra, real Tantra, is all about surrender, where there is no you anymore, where you find yourself as the other, where you find yourself as everything.
The next question has been written by a viewer. When we attract things or people in our life because of our thoughts or actions, does that actually happen?
Sure does. Yep, your actions will attract other people. And if you sit at home and do nothing and don't put out anything, that won't attract too many people either. But if you're out in the marketplace and you're behaving in certain ways, you're going to attract people. I mean, look at the way women and men dress to in a manner that's sexual. They're trying to attract a partner. They're selling sexuality to attract attention to themselves. Maybe they want sexuality, maybe they don't. Maybe they just want to be liked. Maybe they just want to be accepted. Maybe they just want to be admired. But they're selling something. Yeah, sure. We put out so it can be attracted.
The next question has been written by Chris. Does sexual orgasm have any relationship to enlightenment?
No. None whatsoever. Sexual orgasm can take you to no mind. It can take you to that space of no mind where you're free from the mind for some time, but it doesn't really take you to enlightenment. Enlightenment occurs when awareness becomes aware of itself. Usually when someone has an orgasm, the mind is aware of the orgasm, is aware of the pleasure, is aware of the feelings. It's not that awareness is turned on to itself. It's not that awareness is suddenly aware of itself. And so I don't think so.
The next question has been written by a viewer. Does superconsciousness allow telepathic communication without words?
To some degree, that's true, yes.
The next question has been written by Brian. One challenge to your teaching is you say our thoughts create our reality. I think this is only true if you believe and are identified with your thoughts. Is this why the silent witness is important?
Look, how we think affects our reality. So if we think, say, for instance, say victim-orientated thoughts where we're at war with the world or at war with someone else or at war with ourselves, we're going to create a feeling of misery in ourselves. And so we've created our reality by the way we think. Now, if we are perceiving love and we think loving thoughts towards other human beings, thoughts of kindness, thoughts of compassion, well, we're creating that reality. We create the reality that we live in by the way we think, because our awareness goes to thoughts. And wherever our awareness goes, that is where we live. And so angry people live as anger. Fearful people live as fear. People who are victim-orientated live as tragedy, basically. Whatever you think creates your reality, because that's where awareness goes. Someone who's awake is living as beingness because their awareness is on awareness. Where's your awareness? Because that's where you live.
The next question has been written by Tanzim. Is love to the universe and love to your partner the same or different?
In my experience, it's the same. But we're talking pure love. We're not talking love that's intermingled with bonding or primal bonding. Pure love. Love just loves. It has no other quality. It just loves.
The next question has been written by Alex. Hi, Vishrant. Do you have any advice for someone in a thinking heavy profession?
Well, you've got to work out what you want in life. If you're in a profession that involves a great deal of thinking, you're in a profession that involves a great deal of you being out of touch with reality, because thinking is not real. Those who get free usually have a mind that is quiet. As a matter of fact, after enlightenment, the mind goes very quiet. The whole idea of being in a thinking profession would be abhorrent. That sounds very negative, but it's true. Living in your head is like living in a prison, the bars of which are made of fear. And it has nothing to do with who we are. It's just a computer. We're not that. This body is a spacesuit. It has an onboard computer. But that has nothing to do with what I am or who I am. It's just a vehicle for adventuring in this plane.
The next question has been written by a viewer. How do some people have more chances to get satori's and be free more than others? Is it a past life connection?
It can be. Definitely. Whatever consciousness levels that you gained in previous lives, you'll gain again in this life. From my perspective, everything's karmic anyway. Everyone's getting exactly what they deserve at any given moment. But satori can happen to anyone at any time. Awareness can flip onto itself and become aware of itself at any time. Walking on a beach, meditating, dancing, it can happen at any time. But for it to stay, for awareness to stay in itself, which is enlightenment, the mind has to be programmed to support that. And the programming in a lot of ways is deprogramming. It's taking away all the things that contract you and create resistance in you. And so the process towards enlightenment, from the mind's perspective, is a great undoing. It's undoing everything that creates contraction, everything that creates resistance, undoing all the defense systems. It's about becoming free in the mind rather than imprisoned by a whole pile of things that were put in by other people. So we didn't program ourselves. We got programmed by our parents, by our schooling, by our government, by our religion, by our peers. We never programmed ourselves. And a lot of that programming is very limiting and actually in the way. Quite often, a lot of it makes us unhappy because it has a whole pile of belief systems that support contraction when the expectations on them aren't met. So the way to enlightenment is an undoing process, undoing the mind until you're free of all the things that contract you, all the things that create resistance in you.
The next question has been written by Tharanga. The Buddha field provides clarity. Is clarity a greater distance from your thoughts so we can watch the mind more effectively?
Clarity is the ability to see the consequences of everything that's happening around you, the consequences of all your actions, the consequences of all your thoughts, and the consequences of the actions and thoughts of those people around you. It allows you to see through the mind much more easily. Without clarity, you can't see through the mind. You can't see how it works. And so clarity is essential for higher consciousness. It's a must. You have to find a way to have clarity. In clarity, we can become quite successful in the material world and successful in the world of higher consciousness. Without clarity, we're likely to fail in both.
The next question has been written by Pratibha. How to control mind?
And so the whole idea of controlling the mind's a little bit odd, but you can teach the mind different tricks. Like everyone's running true to how they were programmed. I started programming my mind to be present to reality from a young age because I like being present to reality. I was trained in school to be present to thinking, which is not real, present to problem solving, which is not real. And so I had to counter that by programming myself to be present to reality, which is basically meditation. Whatever programs we've got in there, they're going to run. What programs have you got? What's running? Have a look. If it's in the way of freedom, get rid of it. If it's not in the way of freedom, leave it alone. If you're not present to reality, you are actually lost in the matrix of your mind. And more than likely, you don't even know it.
The next question has been written by Brian. If our thoughts create our reality, then how does our life unfold when we give up thoughts?
Wow. It's very difficult to give up thoughts. You make it sound like people can do that. It's very difficult. What you can do is keep your awareness on what is real. It's not so much giving up thoughts, it's just being present to what is real instead of what is not real. I never gave up thinking. I just decided that I preferred present moment awareness. I preferred being present to what was around me, what I could hear, what I could see, what I could feel. It turns out that that's meditation. What's your preference? From what I can tell, living in the mind is very dangerous, because the mind quite often takes you down dark alleys and mugs you, because it hasn't been programmed so sweetly. It's a problem-solving device. I can use my mind to problem solve, but I love no mind. I love just being here. It's quite nice, without a thought, like a sky without a cloud in it, pristine.
The next question has been written by a viewer on YouTube. Can you become unenlightened?
I don't know. I remember reading Ramana Maharshi talk about it. He said an enlightened person's mind is a little bit like an elephant, or the ego part of the mind, because the ego drops after awakening. It just dissipates. And he reckoned that the ego is still there, but it's there like an elephant's tail. The only thing that's left is the tail of the elephant. He said, but if you feed the tail, the elephant can grow back. Now, I don't know if that's true or not, because I haven't found anybody here for 22 years. So I don't know. I don't know the answer to that question.
The next question has been written by a viewer. Will you come back in your next life as enlightened?
Ha! I don't have a future. How would I know? I don't have a past either. I have a now. I have a now. That's it. I don't know about later. I don't know about before. I know now, because now is real. Everything else is not. All your thoughts about the past, all your thoughts about the future, they're not real. Now's real. Now is beautiful.
The next question has been written by Prem Vishrant. Namaste Vishrant. When I get into silence and satisfaction as a result of meditation, I do sometimes get perceived as serious and unapproachable by people with whom I have to share life to sustain. Did you face similar situations, and how did you face them?
Yeah. Yes. As awakening started occurring, I found myself drawn to sitting still and not talking, and the people around me did find it uncomfortable. After 2 weeks of sitting silently and doing nothing, my wife declared that she had lost her husband, and I had to agree. There was no one here anymore. And I sat still for another 6 or 5.5 months, until one of my Advaita Vedanta teachers came and pulled me out of that space to be in the world, to show the light in the world. I lost all the human, in that I would just sit and stare into space, blissed out to the max all day long and most of the night. I didn't blink. I didn't look away. I became quite inhuman in my mannerisms because I was so gone. And so I had to learn in a lot of ways to come back and behave like a human. I look away when I talk to people, blink, mannerisms of talking. And so people wouldn't be frightened of me. The problem lies in that we're not the human. We are pure beingness. And when awareness discovers itself and stays on itself, that is so, so, so obvious that we were never the human. We were never the body. We were never the mind. We are just pure awareness. And the mind then just rests. It stops talking to itself. It rests in beingness, profoundly content for no reason. And so, yeah, my wife left, took the kids, came back again and stayed with me for another 10 years after awakening. As a matter of fact, everything left, but some of it came back again because all attachments dropped. Everything dropped. So sometimes I would have been seen as serious, especially in the first years or so. But that was then. Meditation makes you very silent. People start to register you as being serious when you're silent, because a lot of people can't handle silence. It makes them frightened. I talk to people so they don't get too concerned about things, but basically I'm silent. I hope that helps.
The next question has been written by Chris. Do you think the movie The Matrix has any resemblance to reality?
I loved The Matrix. It came out at about the same time that I woke up. And I saw it and I went, wow, that's so fantastic. Most people who watch it think that they're with Neo, think they're, been released from the walls that they're hung on, just being fed by the machines. But that's not true. Most people are hanging out in their heads, in the matrix of their own minds, oblivious to reality. And so you wake up and you become a light so others can see. And that's what all awake people are trying to do. They're trying to help other people wake up so there's more lights so people can see. The Matrix was a brilliant movie. And at the last scene where Neo is fighting off the machines with one hand behind his back and everything's in slow motion to him, dodging bullets, whatever, that's pretty much how it becomes. You see everything in slow motion. You see things coming before they come by a long way because you've slowed right down inside yourself. You're not running 10 million miles an hour anymore and missing things. I think it was a great movie.
The next question has been written by Brian. I noticed that when I inquire into the nature of the ego or the mind, my mind goes silent and I drop into awareness. Is this because I'm looking for something that doesn't exist?
Yeah, you can't find the ego. If you go looking for it, you can't find it. But if you're drifting into beingness, it means you're already a practiced person. And people who are practiced can find beingness for no reason because it's always there. I remember just driving, I'd find myself in beingness. This is before awakening. I'd just be driving and all of a sudden I'd be the universe and also at the same time driving the car. And I wasn't looking for beingness, it just was happening. If inquiry into where the ego is or what it is helps you find that space, don't stop doing it. It's brilliant.
The following question has been submitted by a viewer. Can rationality be used to undo belief systems? Some beliefs are very stubborn, meaning I find it hard to undo them.
Yeah. The best thing to undo a belief system with is doubt. If you can put doubt into what you believe, the belief system loses its integrity. And so one of the best ways to put doubt into any belief system is in the big picture of everything, in the big picture of God, if you want, or beingness, or whatever you want to call it, truth. How do we know that that is supposed to be the way it is? How do we know that it's not meant to be different than that? In the big picture of everything, way beyond us, how do we know? And the answer has to come back, we don't know. And the moment we don't know that a belief system is for sure, we have applied doubt to it. We have started undoing its integrity. Doubt is the great undoer of belief systems. And all belief systems are prisons.
The next question has been written by a viewer. Does drinking alcohol sometimes take you away from reality, even though it helps to relax the mind and quieten thoughts?
Drinking alcohol doesn't, dreaming does. Dreaming takes you away from reality. So you drink alcohol, your mind relaxes, and you go into some nice dreams. Oh, sure, you're nowhere near reality, you're dreaming. Alcohol itself doesn't take you away from reality. Dreaming does. Someone who's awake could drink alcohol and not get taken away from reality. It would stay. But someone who's just looking to relax their mind probably uses alcohol and dreaming to do so. Fair enough, if that's what you want to do, but that won't raise your consciousness levels. As a matter of fact, it'll lower them. Up to you. What do you want?
Next question has been written by Tharanga. I'm new to self-inquiry, but I notice things slow down quite a bit when I practice. Was this your experience at first?
Yes. I first started practicing self-inquiry in 1987, and I would inquire. I did a group called Enlightenment Intensive with the Rajneesh organisation, and it was a 7-day live-in group where we self-inquired every day from early morning till late night, all day long, and we did it with partners. And that introduced me to self-inquiry. But it wasn't until I was self-inquiring alone while walking along a river that I found myself as truth. My mind had become very relaxed and it slowed right down as a result of self-inquiry. And the accident occurs. Awareness became aware of itself, and I found myself as the universe.
The next question has been written by a viewer. Do we all share the same being?
Yes. Yes, there's no two beings, there's just one being. There's lots of egos. There's lots of individual egos, but there's only one being. Sometimes it's a bit like, I think it was Ramana Maharshi who said, it's like one of those bangles that you wear on your wrist that has all the little things hanging off it, the lions and the flowers and the Om signs, but it's all made of silver. It's all the same thing. It's all made, even though it looks different, it's all the same thing. And that's how it is with egos as well. They think they're separate, they think they're different, but we are all the same thing. We are all pure beingness. There is only one.
The next question has been written by a viewer on YouTube. Vishrant, a few days ago, I was meditating and became conscious of something else inside me, like a presence. Could you say something about this?
Yes, watch it. Be the witness of it. Watch it. Don't try analysing it, just watch it. Don't try understanding it, just watch it. Witnessing is how we discover how everything works, simply by watching without judgment. So if you found a presence inside yourself, watch it, see what it does. Don't judge it, don't try to control it, don't try to understand it or analyse it, just watch it, witness it. And this is the way towards higher consciousness, witnessing, watching the mind. That's where we get to see how it all works. And because we can see how it all works, in other words, we've got all the insights about what's happening, we can then do something about the things that are in the way. A lot of people think that insight's the answer. Insight is simply an invitation to do the work. And a lot of the time, the work is undoing what we see because it's in the way. It's an obstacle of some kind. So you just watch, you just witness. Don't judge, don't try to control, don't try to manipulate, don't try to understand, don't analyze, just watch. Develop a witness that watches the mind. This is a pathway to freedom. This is a pathway to enlightenment. Thank you for Satsang. Good to see you brave hearts here today.